Hey everyone, we are live. Welcome to ABR's latest AMA, aka Ask Me Anything with jockey Declan Carroll. If you've seen any of our Behind the Goggles series, you've likely seen him as he's been the latest face of that. We've also teamed up with Johnny V and Ray Lou to give a little bit of the behind the scenes of the jockey life. So if you've missed those, make sure to check out them on our ABR website. So today we're going to dive a little bit deeper. We're going to keep it short and sweet and finish up with a lightning round. So to start us out, I'm Isabella Leslie. This is Declan Carroll. Declan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm 22 years old. I'm currently riding at Arlington Park and excited to do this.
Perfect. So let's get started. Let's start out with, what was the best mount of your career so far? We know you've been riding not too long, so there's definitely plenty more to come. But so far, who has been your best mount?
I would have to say between Empire of Gold, who I rode in the Breeders' Cup 2019 or 20, I can't even remember, was fourth in the sprint. He's a pretty exciting horse to ride. And Palazzi, who I won my first big stakes in Sam Houston.
Very cool. And I believe that was 2020 with
2020. There you go.
There you go, at Keeneland. So did you grow up in a racing family, or did you get involved in racing in a different way?
I grew up in a race family since before I could walk. My father trained and is currently an assistant for Mark Cassie. He trained solo for around 26 years, I believe, and then has now been with Mark for about 4 to 5 years now. My cousin in Ireland's a jockey. My uncle was a jockey. Another cousin, him was a jump jockey. So pretty much just grew up all in a racing family, and pretty much all I've ever done, and what I've always followed.
Very cool. And did you ever have any interest in being a jump jockey, or no?
No, jump jockey was not in my jurisdiction. I don't think I'd be brave enough for that.
It's definitely a totally different world.
Yes.
So how do you know what horse to ride in a race? Do you have an agent that helps you out, or do you do that all on your own?
I have an agent, Penny Fitch Hayes, who's been my agent since the start of Arlington. She puts me on a bunch of breezers in the morning, and we kind of see what I have, and some horses we don't breeze, obviously, because there's too many from there. But I've always had an agent, and I think it's always best to have an agent to get your mounts people know and have connections with.
And what's the process of getting an agent? Do you kind of do that on your own, or is it by people you know?
The Penny was brought up to me by another trainer of mine that I ride quite frequently for. As she's very well known. My father knows her very well, and kind of through just connections and a simple phone call, really.
Very cool. So as we know, jockeys are very fit. What type of exercises do you do at the gym, and how often do you go?
Well, I don't know how fit I am after all the food I eat, but I do a lot of full body exercises. So I'd be doing a bunch, say, like lunges, sit-ups, chin-ups, abs. I do a bit of everything, running. I like doing yoga to stay fit. I think it's important to stay all around, do full body things, but unfortunately we can't do a lot of weight things, for me anyways, since being taller and have to fight weight a little bit. So I'm more active on the cardio side, a lot of running and hot yoga, which I enjoy.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize how much actually fitness and back work goes into the whole career of being a jockey. So this is an interesting question. Would you consider a jockey's life to be a luxury?
Maybe for some guys it can be, if you get to that stage. Some jockeys are fortunate enough to be very lucky in their career, and obviously they get that way from being very successful and talented. So you can sometimes get the finer things in life when you're doing as well as them. But a lot of it is just getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, working horses from 5:45 to 9:30. Starting the races at usually 12:45, but say for me, I'm in the jocks room by 11 a.m. Sometimes in the sauna or doing workouts before to run to lose weight. But if you're lucky enough to be successful, yes, it can be a luxury, but for the most part, it's just a lot of hard work. And but it's something I enjoy and love and always wanted to do. So hopefully we'll get the finer things in life one day.
So Aaliyah just asked, what other racetrack do you go to after the meet at Arlington is done?
So it would be probably Hawthorne. Hawthorne starts right after the Arlington meet. So we'll move into Hawthorne. And then we'll hopefully, I think I'll be heading down to Fairgrounds down in Louisiana. But as of right now, anything can change at any moment. Just how kind of a jockey's life is. You never know where the next opportunity may be or asked to go to. But that's the direction we're heading in right now.
So a lot of traveling. What's your favorite racetrack to ride?
I would have to say Keeneland. Keeneland's a beautiful racetrack, turf and dirt. Beautiful place to ride. Always, the crowds are huge. You can hear them from the backside. It's just a phenomenal place to ride at. But I would love to ride at Saratoga one day. I've obviously galloped there, but to ride races, I'm sure it's a whole different ballgame.
Those are two of my favorite places to visit, as I think everyone else is.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite pre-race day routine?
Pre-race would be pretty much as soon as I get in the jocks room. I usually go in the sauna. Sauna is something I kind of use a lot to lose weight and just to loosen up a little. And then I like to stretch an hour before the race, just to always feel loose and not be tight. Someone that takes stretching and stuff very seriously. So that would be my pre-race routine.
And do you normally eat or drink anything special before you ride?
Before the races, I like to drink something called G1 Sport. Kind of has a lot of carbs, sodium, potassium in it, trying to get me hydrated beforehand. Because obviously in the very hot weather here, especially it's going to be in the 90s this week, it's important to stay hydrated. When you're dehydrated, you're not really good for anything, as well as just trying to keep the weight down. So it's very difficult, but it's always important to stay hydrated. So G1 Sport would be my go-to.
Maybe they'll sponsor you one day.
Maybe.
Throw that in there. So, funny question. Do you change before or all your clothes and shower between each race?
If I ride a few in a row and then I have a little break, then yeah, I will take a shower. And if it's hot out, some of the jocks make fun of me for that, but hey, I like being fresh.
How do we clean?
But then I always change pants after each race, usually if we're on the dirt, obviously, because when you're riding dirt, you come back usually a lot dirtier than you would on the turf. But here at Arlington, since we're on the poly and turf, I only have to change every few races, usually.
Makes sense. So Donald is asking, what is the difference between riding turf and dirt?
With turf, it's a lot more, I think, with patience and saving ground. Saving ground on the turf is something you'll hear all the time. Usually, if you're somebody on the turf and you're going wide the whole way and you're going, it's just not, saving ground is very important. So if you're going wide, you're drawn wide, say you're 13 to 13, and then you're wide the whole race and you can't get over. It's going to be very difficult to make ground up. Per se on the dirt, you can see horses do that much easier. Turf is all, I think, about patience, and you'll see riders riding much tighter than they would on the dirt. Dirt is usually a much faster pace run race, a lot more speed in the race. Kind of say it's more fair play per se, but I enjoy riding the turf.
And you mentioned Arlington is all weather. Does that have any difference? Does it relay more to one surface than the other?
I think synthetic would definitely be more closer to turf. You'll see a lot of turf horses run on the synthetic if they're off the turf that day. As we had a few days here where we've been off the turf with a lot of rain, and a lot of horses don't scratch just because it's usually a more fair surface. Some horses take to it and some horses don't, but usually a lot of horses will train on it. So say at Keeneland, they have a poly track, obviously for the small training track, and then they have the main track, dirt and turf. But a lot of turf horses will train on the poly at Keeneland. So I think it definitely is similar.
Very interesting. So I know you mentioned that your dad is a trainer and your whole family is involved in horses. Have you always been interested in riding, or was that something that you developed a little later in your life?
I've always been interested in riding horses. I was sitting on a horse before I could walk. It's kind of something I've always wanted to do and have done, starting with show horses. Show horses is how I learned just the riding aspect of it from my mom more. So my father, my dad was always busy training horses and wasn't always on the show side. So showing horses was a big help in me, and my sister, who works for Philip Dutton, was always nice enough to help me. Sometimes a little mean, but she's just helping me. But it's something I've always done. I was never really interested in other things. I played soccer a little bit in school and golf, but I was always on the horse side.
Rin is asking about how lucky you are to have such awesome parents, as I also have to agree with. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, they're awesome sometimes when they're not yelling at me. I also watched your Breeders' Cup thing, Ren. That was nice. Future Stars with Simon Callahan. Great to see that. I'm very lucky to have very nice parents and helpful parents, and help me pursue my dreams and bring me far along in my career. And they're always very helpful for me, and just lucky to have the support I have with them.
They're definitely special people, as I can say personally. So when you regularly ride two horses and they happen to end up being in the same race, how do you choose which one to ride?
I usually leave that up to my agent, Penny Fitchhays. That's why she is my agent. She's usually I allow her to do that. Obviously, if we're in both, and you can kind of see maybe one is running better numbers on the sheets. You can just kind of go by races and which horses are running against better horses, per se, like which horses come out of the races and done well out of that race. But for the most part, I allow my agent to do that fact and decide, because when I pick, and if I pick wrong, I'm getting yelled at by someone. So we allow her to pick.
And then you can blame someone else for your mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The blame game.
So Mike is asking, what jock do you look up to?
I would have to say Florent Drew. Florent has been a very good advocate for me throughout my career, as well as Adam Beschitza. They've always been very helpful to me, but a lot of people have since I've been going to the jocks rooms since I was around 7 years old. Actually, I had my birthday in the jocks room 1 year, so if that doesn't tell you how much I've been in there. And then also my cousin Gary Carroll, who rides over in Ireland. He's obviously my cousin. I'm very close to him, and I've always looked up to him. And having his first Royal Ascot winner this year is always something I've dreamed of doing. So hopefully I can join him over there one day.
Both or all three are great people to look up to. So now it's lightning round time. We're going to ask you 5 fast-paced questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Favorite singer?
Travis Scott.
There you go. Video games or hiking?
I would have to say hiking now. It used to be video games, but I've grown up.
Grown out of it. Okay. Oh, here we go. Home cooked meal or eating out?
I would have to say eating out. I enjoy my eating out. Sometimes a little bit too much.
You know, I happen to know your chef personally, so I'll make sure she knows that she's not cooking up to par for your likes.
Thanks.
That in there. Yeah. Favorite sports team?
Chelsea, Premier League soccer.
And lastly, summer or winter?
Summer. I hate the cold.
I'm the same way, but I like the winter for the fashion. So there we go.
Wear a nice scarf.
Exactly. So that's the end for today. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We will be doing another one of these sometime later in the year. If there's anything else you're interested in horse racing, check out America's Best Racing on all of our social channels and our website. So thank you, Declan, very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on. Can't wait to be back.
Of course. Bye.